Hey everybody, we're going to try this again. I'm still learning how to do things, and apparently when I pause my video here because people are walking by, if I scroll away from the camera, then it just shuts my video off altogether and I can't go back and unpause it. So I'm just sharing that in case that helps you at some point if you're going to make a video. So I'm going to try this again. Today is September 19th, 2024, and today the scale weighed 225.8. So that's down a little bit again from the last video, and a little bit closer to my first goal of 225. I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm not going to talk about what I think my next goal will be after that. My first goal is 225, so I'm just going to focus on getting there because it's been kind of an elusive number for me. Today I have good news to share. I'm pretty psyched about the news I have to share. I mean, it's not a huge deal or anything, but for me it feels like a pretty big deal. So I saw a doctor at my primary care office that I hadn't really seen before last week. And he was recommended to me by the counselor at that facility because I've been going to counseling every couple of weeks or so just for, I don't know, stress management and stuff. And of course, a lot of my stressors and things are related to my health and health issues. And so she and I got to talking about everything that's going on and how I don't really jive that well with doctors a lot. No offense to doctors whatsoever. Like, I'm a big believer in health. I mean, obviously, but medicine, science, and I think especially when doctors are great at what they do, like, you know, that's pretty amazing. But what I've had to deal with over the years, off and on, quite a lot actually, is just kind of feeling like I don't jive really well with a lot of doctors that come from this Western medicine approach of like, well, let's, you know, whatever your problem is, let's put a Band-Aid on it. Let's throw a pill at it. Let's talk about a surgery or a procedure or something, which sometimes those things are great. Sometimes they do the trick. Like right now I'm on a blood pressure pill because my blood pressures were going way too high. And although I never wanted to take a blood pressure pill, and I still fantasize about like losing enough weight that I can get off of it one day, I am taking that blood pressure pill every day, just like I'm supposed to, because I don't need to be having blood pressures of like, you know, 190 over 120 or whatever, or worse. And, you know, I don't need to be having a stroke or a heart attack at 53 like my grandfather did. Yeah, I'm taking the blood pressure pill, and I'm very happy for the things that, you know, medicine, you know, can do for us. But in general, I haven't fit real well with doctors because I always want to know like why something's happening, or like, for example, with my blood pressure, like why do I have blood pressure issues all of a sudden? I've never had them before, and all of a sudden they kind of came out of the blue with like, you know, a lot of vigor. And of course, I know there's things like being overweight is definitely not good for your blood pressure. But I've been overweight for a while and didn't have the blood pressure issues. So it's like, is it kind of like a wear and tear thing? Like where eventually, you know, having to deal with a lot of blood pressure elevated over time, like your body just can't anymore. And, you know, like it's able to keep it down for a certain extent, and then after a while it just can't keep it down on its own. I don't know. Not a doctor, not a scientist. So for right now, I'm just taking the blood pressure pill and dreaming of the possibility that if I get, you know, if I reach my health goals, you know, that will be one of them. I will be able to be off the blood pressure pill. But you know, when I try to talk about like the origins of why this is happening, you know, a lot of times the doctors, they will just flat out tell me like they don't know. They don't know. Science doesn't know. Medicine doesn't always know why things are happening. And so they feel like it's more beneficial to focus on symptom management, to like relieve people's symptoms, or to prevent, like in my case, taking the blood pressure pill is in order to prevent me from having very negative outcomes because of elevated blood pressure. So that's really more what they focus on. And I get it, but I really do like to try to understand like the natural like implications of like why things are happening, the origins of things, if you will. Anyway, so this counselor heard me out, and she suggested, as far as in that practice, well, that I should see this one doctor, because even on his bio on the website, he talks about being very interested in the nutritional and lifestyle management of health and wellness, which is like right up my alley. And he's trained in Harvard, and it's a really smart guy. And so I figured I would meet him and see what he had to say. So that was last week. And initially I wasn't really that encouraged, because he wasn't just like a quick yes, like, of course I'll help you. It was more of like well, I don't really know you. Let me look at your chart. Let me get back to you. And so sure enough, his folks called me to set up an appointment, which I just had today as a follow-up, to how I would want his help. So he had me come in today and bring all of my medications and supplements so that we could go over, what I'm currently taking. And I'm not going to get into those details right now, but I will tell you that I was pretty impressed, because one of the first things he did is he looked at all of my medications and supplements. And I take a lot of supplements, so I had to bring like a whole box of them with me. And he kind of quizzed me on them. And he asked me like if I knew what each one was or why I was taking it. And so I felt really good, because I was able to show that I've been doing my homework, I've been doing my research, I've been, really trying to help myself with, the supplements that I do take are for reasons. And he seemed pretty pleased with that, like pretty impressed that I was able to know a lot of, the good reasons behind some of these different supplements. He also was able to point out for me a couple of things about the specific supplements. Like I told him I'm taking this one called NAC, and I think it's called non-acetylcholine or something like that. It's, you'd have to look it up. It's NAC. And I wanted to take this other one called glutathione, but he told me, I haven't been taking it yet. I haven't gotten any. It's something I've more recently learned about. But he told me, don't take both, because NAC is basically the precursor to glutathione. And so if you're taking the NAC, you probably don't need to be taking the glutathione. And so I'm going to read more about it, because from what I understand, he told me today the NAC is converted by the body into glutathione, and then the glutathione is used, throughout your body for the different important processes, which again, I'm not going to get into that right now. But I know that I have something in my in my history called MTHFR mutation, and I don't know if you know what that is. You could look it up, but it basically means that I have trouble methylating, and methylation is part of the metabolic processes in your body that are essential metabolic processes. And because I have trouble with methylation, I can sometimes have trouble with some of these processes, which include things like absorbing different vitamins and minerals, converting different vitamins and minerals to their, converted forms for use in the body, and even detoxification of like different toxins. Like, so again, don't really want to go into that right now, but I'm going to look into the whole NAC and glutathione connection a little bit more, because if anything, I may finish out the NAC I have and then switch to glutathione. But at least now, from talking to him, I realize I don't need to do both. So that's good. And he also pointed out that my fish oil that I'm taking, which is just like an over-the-counter from the grocery store brand of fish oil, is not really a very good quality fish oil, and that I would be better served by getting a higher quality fish oil. And he gave me a couple of brands to look into. And I think I am going to pass on the fish oil that I have to somebody if they want it, and switch to the better, higher quality fish oil right away, because it's fairly affordable. Even the better stuff is fairly affordable. So I think it's worth switching that off right away. And I was really appreciative for him pointing that out to me, because again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all these things. And this is exactly why I wanted to have a Western medicine doctor, who I could work with, who could sort of guide me or help answer my questions or help point things out to me that I might not know as a non-medical professional. Well, at least not that type of medicine. My degree is in OT, but you know, not the same thing. So so the nice thing too about seeing a Western medicine practitioner, because I could, like, I probably have my choice of going to see naturopathic, integrative medicine doctors or functional medicine doctors or specialists that, definitely, like, this is their whole wheelhouse, like this is their bread and butter, except that they don't take my insurance, and that would all be out of pocket, and that would all add up, very quickly. So I just think it's really good that this guy's willing to follow me and offer me whatever guidance he can. And he's willing to, like, not let his ego, dictate things. Like when he said he didn't just jump on saying that he could help me. He wanted to review my chart first. That's actually a good thing. And what he was saying this time is he had mentioned one thing that I could do, which is that could be possibly helpful, which is to, my disease makes me not have enough acid in my stomach to digest protein. And what he and I talked about me doing more of, it was more and more intermittent fasting, like already intermittent fasting, which I'll probably do a video soon that talks about like exactly what I'm trying to do at this moment, because it's forever changing. What I'm doing this week is probably not the same thing I was doing just a month ago, or a month before that, and it's probably going to look different in a month from now. But it's like this evolution of, like, as I learn things, I'm kind of like experimenting on myself. I'm letting myself be a guinea pig, and but not in like some dangerous way. Like, I am making sure, like, my number one first barometer is like how I feel in my body. And if things, are feeling like they're going well, then I consider that a good sign. I'm doing a lot of like symptom tracking and tracking of like what I am or am not eating, exercise, stuff like that. And then I'm just trying to like watch and make sure that it all feels good. And then if for some reason something just doesn't seem to work, like I just, like I tried protein powder. I don't want to get into the woods on this, but basically I feel like I need a higher protein intake for reasons. And I know that protein powders are like touted as like a good supplement. And because of my stomach having issues with digestion, I thought the powdered protein would be sort of like a more, I don't know, processed form of protein, but not like in a bad way. I was thinking of it like maybe it could be a good thing, because I'm like putting this stuff in my stomach that is protein, but it's like broken down a lot, and so like maybe that would be good for my stomach. But my stomach was like, no, my stomach did not want to tolerate the protein powder. And I don't know if it's just the one that I tried or if it would be like that with all protein powders, but my instinct at that moment was like, let's just try to stick to food, like real food, like not processed protein powders even. And so I'm back to the protein thing. And the doctor today was, because I'm talking about, like I said, doing more and more fasting. So he was suggesting that, when I do eat during this experimentation with intermittent fasting, to make sure that I'm eating, a high protein amount. I think he said something like 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight per day is like the sweet spot. But I am currently like 225.8 pounds. So I don't know what the math is on that, but that would be a lot of protein every day. And I guess if it's 1 gram, it would be like 225 225 grams of protein. That seems like a lot. Sorry, people walking by again. Yeah, so he was suggesting a high protein intake for the meals that I am eating in between fasting windows. And I get the reason for that. But because of my disease, makes me not produce a lot of stomach acid. Sometimes I have trouble with comfortable protein digestion, especially if I'm like only eating 1 or 2 meals a day and trying to cram all that protein into, 1 or 2 meals. That would just be really hard on my gut. And he suggested that sometimes people take supplemental acid, like hydrochloric acid, which is produced by the stomach. You can get in supplement form. And I do know people online in some of the support groups for my disease that talk about doing that. Like they'll take a hydrochloric acid supplement with their meals, and they feel like it helps. And I mean, there seems to be some logic there about why that would be, but it is hydrochloric acid. So I don't want to like fool with, taking a pretty tough acid on an already injured stomach. So he said, don't do anything with that just yet. He's going to do some research, and he wants me to come back in a month, and we can review the progress of what I'm already doing over the next month, and he can provide me with the information of like what he has found out about whether there's other supplements or things that I could benefit from, and we'll go from there. And so I think it's pretty cool that he's willing to follow me, pretty closely, like once a month. I figure that's like pretty close. I'm not having any emergency or urgent type issues, so I don't feel like I need anything more than that. And maybe once I kind of get the hang of what I'm doing or whatever, maybe I won't even need once a month. But I'm pretty psyched that this Western medicine doctor, who is covered by my insurance, is willing to chaperone me, if you will, while I experiment on myself with fasting for health and weight loss. And so I think that's, pretty exciting news. I'm pretty happy to share that. And he said he's going to follow up with blood work as needed if he feels at any point that we need to check, like, let's say my insulin levels or my electrolytes or whatever. Oh, for anybody wondering, I'll just give you the really, really quick gist of what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to eat within an eating window of like no earlier than noon any given day and no later than like 7 p.m. any given night. Really pretty good about not eating before noon. It's kind of easy for me. I know there sounds like there's benefits in terms of our metabolism turning on in the morning, and so you shouldn't skip breakfast and all that. But I don't know. I still have a breakfast. I just break my fast later than other people. And so anything that I'm doing up in the earlier part of the day, like doing this walk, I'm doing it while I'm fasted. So instead of like eating a meal and then going on a walk to burn off like the energy, calories or whatever of what I've just eaten, I am going for a walk without having eaten. And so hopefully the idea is, the body is running on stored reserves, which is the goal. And also these longer periods between eating, I'm kind of getting into the woods on this now, but it's to also bring my insulin levels down, and there's reasons why I want to bring my insulin level down. So that's what I'm doing. And in that window between like 12 and 7 p.m., I'm having basically 2 meals a day. I'm not having any snacking. I'm not doing any other like coffees with calories. I don't do coffee at all, but you know how like sometimes people will have like some kind of fancy latte thing and they think they're not really having a meal, but still it's like full of a bunch of calories. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not doing any grazing. I'm not doing any snacking. I'm having 2, planned meals a day, and I'm trying to make them pretty good with protein, healthy fats, vegetables, and a measured serving of whatever my carb is. And my carb, I'm trying to make them whole carbs. So like rice or potatoes, or I do occasionally, if I happen to have access to it, Like right now I have some gluten-free bread that I'm using up. I think I'm going to take a break from buying and using gluten-free breads and just kind of stick to the whole natural, like rice and potato type starches. But I definitely feel like I want to include some of that right now, because times in the past when I try to go cold turkey off of all carbs or sugars or whatever, I feel like I had a very big brain chemical dip. And so I don't want to go there. I want to allow myself carbs with each meal, but just a measured portion of a whole carb. And so I'm doing that, and taking my supplements every day, and trying to watch my hydration levels. Work on my other goals like daily step goal, sleep goals, stuff like that, which he did say sleep is like essential. Anybody who wants to be on a health journey or a weight loss journey, you need to be sleeping. You need to be getting enough sleep. It's not a joke. It's not exaggerated. It's like your body just can't function properly without enough sleep. And my current goal is 7 hours of sleep a night. I showed him in my data where I've been averaging 6 something hours, for all of this year so far. I'm hoping to bring that up. My ultimate goal is, I want to have 8 hours of sleep a night, but my current goal is 7 hours. And right now I'm averaging 6-ish. But that's good. That's an improvement, because last year I showed him in my data from Fitbit that I was averaging like only 5 something hours, over the course of the year. So he did mention sleep, and I just wanted to mention that too. So anyway, I feel like this video is getting longer than I wanted it to be. I just wanted to share the good news, and thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and I'll keep you posted on how this all goes. I wish you a beautiful day and great health.